Restream never. What's going on, everybody? I swear, I never have a dull moment with this streaming app. I'm actually looking into another one. I think I'm going to move over to whatever the one that my buddy Rodimus Primal's using. I got to ask him the name of that one. Though I do like this new feature they have. You can now do AI-generated music tracks, so you don't have to deal with copyright strikes. Why am I tongue-tied? Copyright strikes. What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday, and welcome on into Zero Hour, where I, your host, Extra Zero, bring you all the goings-on in Transformers and the world of Transformers in about an hour or so. It's kind of self-explanatory, but we have fun with it here. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. If you didn't catch it this past weekend, we had MegaCon in Orlando. A lot of reveals. We had Wonderfest. We had the new Haslab go up, so we'll be talking about that, and I might have some controversial opinions about the Haslab. So yeah, I'm really curious what everybody's gonna think there. It's a fun week too. Yeah, football's finally over here in the U.S. It's my birthday week. Tomorrow is actually my birthday, so provided we're not snowed in, my wife and I are gonna go do some fun stuff. Go out, get some food, maybe go bowling or go to Dave & Buster's. And I'm not going to work. I have a day off. So yeah, looking forward to an abrupt short week. And then we have Valentine's Day. So, you know, gotta do all those festivities. But Transformers news, tons of stuff to talk about. So if you're watching me here live on YouTube, thank you very much. We got a live chat over there. If you are watching live, pop in that chat, say hi. I'll be interacting with you fine folks throughout the course of the show. We already got Princeton Phalanx coming in, saying hello, everyone. Princeton, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. And yeah, if you haven't already, smash that like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. And if you are watching me on the replay, don't be shy. Leave a comment. I read the comments. I interact with the folks who leave the comments in the late squad. Always a lot of fun to do so. And, you know, I do plan on another giveaway when we hit 500 subscribers over here. We're almost at 260. So be a friend, tell a friend. If you like what I'm doing over here, let them know that I'm out here. I am still working on some other videos. I've been dragging my feet a little bit, so I don't want to commit to dates. I'm in editing hell. I've also got some more stuff coming through on the video game stuff. As you know, I'm part of Grunking on Dogs, the gaming podcast, and I'm also the editor for Mr. Mazza. And I'm editing a really fun video for him right now. So check out my link tree in if you follow me over on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. It's also in the description if you want to check out any of that content. We do a lot of stuff. And yeah, Princeton, it's already snowing here. It started snowing at like 4 o'clock. I mean, we went from 4, and then like at 8, we had like, I don't know, probably 1.5 inches on the ground, and it's just this really fine snow. I like went on I've been focusing on my fitness. I'm going to be a groomsman in a wedding for one of my best friends in May. So I'm like, yeah, I better, you know, start working out hard again, and you know, I want to look good in the pictures. And went on my walk, and I could barely stand on the sidewalk. It was this weird texture of snow. It was like super fine, but not quite dry. Yeah, it sucks. It's crappy. So hopefully I can go get my Texas Roadhouse on tomorrow, because that's what I want to do. So let's talk some toys, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we get into all the toy news, let's go through the figure of the week. And this week's figure of the week is an interesting one for 2 reasons. One, I finally get to go to this place in November. And this is a figure I've had for quite a minute. This is I don't know whether this was considered to be Hunt for the Decepticons or not, but this is the Universal Theme Parks exclusive evac, and I'm holding him by the ankle here. This was a figure that came out, I want to say, around 2014, maybe it was before that. But the evac is the character that you ride in Transformers the Ride. And my buddy Ruben, who lives in Florida, got this guy for me. He went to Universal, and he was like, hey, do you want an evac? And I said, yes, I want an evac. So he picked one up for me. And he doesn't quite turn into an accurate version of the cart that you ride in, but that's what he's supposed to turn into. I can't remember whether this was like concept art or not, but this is just a really well done deluxe. He's a big deluxe too. Comparing him to like a more modern Voyager, he's still pretty big next to Prime. And I like this guy a lot. He has some kind of modern transformation. He's got really nice ankle tilts, which he didn't get much of back in that era. It's a really nicely done sculpt. Got some really neat detail. I like the fact that this is like one of the figures that still had like clear plastic screwed into solid plastic. It's just a really cool figure. And the only place you could get them was Universal Studios. Now, Universal Studios has since done figures and they've come out on Pulse, but to my knowledge, this is the only figure that was a Universal Studios exclusive. And so I picked him up as my figure of the week because my wife, for my birthday, is taking me to Universal Studios. I've really been excited to go to Super Nintendo World. Now, unfortunately, I don't get to go until later in the year. We're looking at maybe going like right after Halloween, after the crowd from Hollywood Horror Nights dies down. But I really want to see Super Nintendo World. I really want to do Transformers The Ride. It's something I wanted to do for a hot minute, and I'm excited all around. So I picked this guy up, and I've been messing with him this week, and just really excited to finally knock that off my bucket list. I also like the fact that this guy's a really easy transformation. I could kind of see, people getting him and walking around the park. Transforming him. In fact, when Ruben picked this guy up from me, he's like, "Hey, can I open it and mess with it?" I was like, "Absolutely." And so then he did that, and then he ended up keeping the one that he opened because he liked it so much. He went and bought one for himself, if I remember correctly. But yeah, there it is. I have it like squozing it all together, as Emgo would say. But yeah, he turns into the little ride from Transformers The Ride, so it's like super meta. And I love that about this figure. And it's cool to get stuff like that. Now when you go to Universal, it's basically just you get Bumblebee, and you get that they have the guy in the Megatron costume, and you can buy a repaint of the Dark of the Moon Megatron out there. But this was really unique. I don't know if they still sell this guy there. I hope they do, because it's a really neat figure. And there he is, transformed back. It's a fun transformation. Just a neat figure. I feel like when I finally go and get to do the ride, I'll have a little bit more attachment to this, not just because a friend picked it up for me, but because I've actually been able to do the ride and know the character and that sort of thing. So that's why Evac is my figure of the week this week. Hey, we got Wookie Be Bad hanging out with us. Wookie, always good to see him, my friend. And Princeton saying, you look like you're doing a Jedi mind trick with the waving your hands like that. Yeah, I am a super animated person. I don't know what it is. And I guess also it doesn't help that I'm wearing this like burgundy hoodie. So it, almost looks like a Jedi robe, These are not the figures you're looking for. Well, we'll get into these are not the figures you're looking for in a little bit. Let's talk TFCon LA. So TFCon LA is around the corner, as we discussed on the show. Thankfully, the fires out in LA did not impact the ability for TFCon to happen this year. So that's still all going on. And they've announced a ton, and I mean a ton of good guests. So let's get into that. We'll head over to the TFCon LA page here. And we got Dan Gilvezan. Dan's a super nice guy. He's the voice of Bumblebee, Hotspot, Goldbug, Snapdragon, and G1. And if you're going to be in that area, Dan's a good one to meet and get an autograph. Super friendly and approachable guy. We get Aaron Archer, of course, the famous designer, did a lot of the favorites from the Unicron trilogy. He's at most of these. Alex Milne from IDW is typically there. Michael Bell, again, as I've said, meet Mr. Bell. He's up there in age, super sharp, super nice guy. I hope I get an opportunity to meet him again so I can get a photo with him. Evan Michael Lee, who is Jazz in Transformers 1, and he's pretty from what I understand, he's pretty with it with the Transformers community these days. So it's always cool to see a voice actor that's got a vested interest. Andre Squigliazzo, or Sagliazzo, we've mentioned before. He was Sideswipe in Revenge of the Fallen. Jeff Bennett's going to be there. Jeff's an industry legend, for voice acting. James Horan. So this is where we get to. This is the 15th anniversary of Transformers Prime. So they're really getting a lot of Prime voice actors there. David Kaye is going to be there. Again, another legend. And of course, he was Hardshell in Transformers Prime, so it makes all the more sense. David Sobolov, Shockwave in Prime, Ape Link, Death Charge, Battle Trap. I think this guy's been probably in as many different series as David Kaye and Gary Chalk have, really. Then, of course, you get to Charlie Adler. It's a big one. Charlie Adler, G1, Starscream in the Bay movies, but really a big voice acting legend. And Frank Welker is going to be returning out. I understand, Frank recently gave some folks a scare because he canceled an event. My wife sent it to me. But yeah, Peter Cullen's canceling more events for 2025. Again, no news on, what kind of what he's dealing with, really. But Frank will be at TFCon. And I do recommend if you're going and you've never met Frank Welker, the dude's a class act. Really enjoyed hearing him speak, getting to meet him. And, I do hope the best for Peter Cullen. I really want to meet him. But again, as I've said numerous times, I wish him the best health. And I just really want to get some news that he's getting better. And, if he has to retire, he has to retire. But, I just really hope he can just kind of live out his days, healthy and well. But yeah, John Bailey, also rising star. People know him as Epic Voice Guy. Back when I was on Figure Action, he was one of the interviews we did, and really enjoyed getting to talk to him. He's also somebody that loves legitimately loves Transformers. Z Infante from Earthspark, Arif Kitchen, who's kind of the new voice of Jazz when they did the G1 readings. He replaced Scatman Crothers. Spot on. So cool that he's going to be there. Jim Sorensen, who's written a bunch of Transformers books, will be there. We got Flint Dill, who is probably one of the best known writers from G1. And Darren Norris, who is Knockout as well as Heavy Load in Robots in Disguise. Ron Friedman, who wrote Transformers the movie. Would be awesome to get a signature from him. Frank Tirado, who is like a reef, is now like the voice for Starscream. He did the G1 readings. He does a really, really good Starscream. And another big one, Alan Oppenheimer, who not only did some of the most iconic voices in G1 between Sea Spray, Warpath, he's Skeletor, and the guy's 94 years old. So really take the opportunity to go meet Mr. Oppenheimer. Tania Gundy, who was Miko in Prime. Jason Kanopsis, who was Shockwave in Transformers 1. Greg Berger, of course, everybody knows Greg Berger from G1 is Grimlock, Skyfire, but he also did Stockade in Robots in Disguise. And Casey Collier, the comic artist. Jack Lawrence, who's also another comic artist. And then we get back to Dan. So TFCon LA going to be pretty stacked as far as the guests are concerned. My good buddy Deluxe is going to be there. I'm pretty jealous. So I look forward to seeing all of his photos in a couple months, or not even a couple months, next month when he goes. And we'll be talking about all of that and then the exclusives that'll be popping off. So yeah, lots of news to come on all of that. So let's get into MegaCon. So MegaCon Orlando, I think Wookie Be Bad. I think did you get to go? Because I know originally, I didn't know whether I was going to be in Orlando. I talked to my wife about, hey, are we going to go? Are we going to be in Orlando for my birthday? And If that were the case, I would have tried to have done both, but nope, November-ish. So I didn't get to go, but again, I do know a lot of people that did get to go. Rodimus Primal was there. I saw his photos, and was talking with him quite a bit during the convention. And again, just it seemed like there was a good presence from Hasbro there and a lot of reveals. So let me quit yapping. Let's get into these reveals here. Let's kick things off with well, actually, let's knock the reissues out first. So we got word that there were going to be more reissues. I talked about reissues. Wookiee didn't get to go. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. And, hey, Titan, welcome on in. We got a couple of highly sought after. Well, one's a highly sought after reissue. When Siege, and it's crazy to think that I believe this set was 2018 or 2019. They did these Siege multi-packs. These were Amazon exclusives, and they, like, if you didn't get the pre-order, you didn't get the figures. So I'm shocked to see Hasbro is actually taking that feedback, albeit several years later, and giving fans reissues. And not only that, they are no longer Amazon exclusives. So you can actually go and pre-order these at TF Source, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, Robot Kingdom, The Chosen Prime, and ages 3 and up. And from what I understand, I don't think that these have been marked up too much. If we go over to, let's say, BBTS. Yeah, so these are basically the original prices here. And a lot of the things that were announced at WonderCon are up there. Again, we've talked about the Beachcomber reissue, as well as the Ultra Magnus one. So I'm glad people are getting a second chance to get these figures. I think a lot of people slept on this Alpha Strike 3-pack. I mean, again, it's not really 3-packs. You get a Battle Master with your G2 side swipe, and you get an interesting version of Slam Dance that's just a remold of flywheels, or not even really a remold, more of a repaint. But a lot of people slept on that. But I think what most people are going to be after is completing their Tetrajet Seekers, because a lot of people missed out on the Skywarp. And again, they lumped them in with 3 Battle Masters. I dislike that they did that, but still, considering what he was going for in the aftermarket, and considering the current price of a Voyager being $35, the $50 asking price really isn't that bad. One, if you go back and look, they were charging like $5.99 a piece for these Battle Masters back in the day. So really not a bad deal, especially considering you're getting the blast effects, and these little guys were not bad figures. So if you missed out on those, it's good to see that Hasbro is doing more reissues. I'm also hearing, I haven't been able to confirm it, but I've heard that in 2026, this is just a rumbling, there's no listing. So, again, take this for what you will. But I've seen rumblings on the boards, and I've also seen a YouTube video from a person named Chris Jam. And Chris said that per a Transformers designer that he spoke with, and I don't know who, that in 2026 they are doing a reissue of Metroplex. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this video over here so you can see. Let's go back here. So, of course, Restream. I'm gonna blame Restream for all this stuff. So, let's go back. So, Chris had this video out here saying that, and again, this person has a little over 7,000 subscribers, but saying that we're getting a Rise of the Beast Transit, we're getting new army builders, which we do know about, and a Metroplex reissue. Now, that wouldn't surprise me, considering that Triptychon just got reissued. I'd love to see Transit, and Transit would make sense. They had the design. It was almost in the movie. It was the only Decepticon that was actually featured or to be featured in Rise of the Beast. And, again, this This issue came, about the same time we were getting the sideswipe I'm sorry, not the sideswipe, the Skywarp info. So it'll be interesting to see if this is true. I think Transit's probably likely. I think Metroplex is kind of likely too. I mean, you got to think, like, if they're going to try and do a couple Titans a year, and it looks like they're doing more and more reissues, I think doing a Metroplex, and again, that's a very sought after Titan. You look at the aftermarket on those figures, and if you're Hasbro and you're kind of struggling right now, why let the secondary market take money that you could be earning? To me, it makes more sense to do reissues like these, to do these Siege reissues. You've already got the molds. You're still using a majority of them in Legacy. Thrilling 30 was a while ago, but there's demand for it. You alter the deco, you'll get people that are going to want to either finally get it. You have new fans that are like, man, I'd really like a Metroplex in my collection. You see the fact that we've got Lewin Resources and Like Toys coming out with these large, masterpiece Titans. And to me, it just makes more sense to go back and reissue something like Trypticon, reissue something like Metroplex, change the decos to be more tune accurate, which is what people want. And people like me, I'm never going to get the Lewin Resource or the Like Toys Metroplex. I just don't have the space for it. For me, I'm happy with the Hasbro Titans because they sit up high on a shelf. They look the part. They're huge. They're already over 2 feet. So, it's to me, it seems like a win-win on their end, especially if they can make some improvements. They can get rid of the stickers. Like, the fact that they're getting rid of the stickers on Trypticon is just such a huge thing in my book. And then it makes Trypticon seem more like he belongs with the other more recently released Titans, in my personal opinion. Now, it doesn't mean if you have a Trypticon and you're happy with it, you need to replace it or you need a toy deco one. My good buddy Larkin from Larkin's Lair, he's basically repurposing his to be Gigastorm from Beast Wars 2. And I'm like, hey, that's a really good idea. So, I think it makes sense to do one new Titan a year and then do something like a reissue. You make fans happy both ways, because some people look at these reissues. People like me look at the reissues and like, hey, that's I don't have to buy that. And it also is a good thing because you're not keeping people from completing their collections, or hey, I'd really like to get into Transformers, but I'll never be able to get these. It's a good signal, and it's something they used to do, and I'm glad to see it continue. We got Mario Roca in here. Mario, welcome on in. Good to see you. And Princeton, I agree. It is easy money for Hasbro. Just reissue figures. And yeah, it's crazy they're releasing Siege figures 6 years later. But I like it. And I think these figures also need a longer shelf life. Like, we need more time in between waves. They need to let their brands like G.I. Joe and Transformers have a shelf presence. Because what happens is these waves come out, and then they're already getting allocations for the next wave, and you're seeing stuff on clearance. And before we get into MegaCon, I've actually got an example of that. And this time it's not with Target, believe it or not. It's with Walmart. And so I was actually on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, earlier. And I came across something. I was like, well, that's interesting. There's a page called TF Alerts. And let me pull them up here. And if you're not following this page, you definitely should, because they are like the Wario 64 or Cheap Ass Gamer. And if you don't know what those are, they're video game deals pages. But TF Alerts, and let me get this pulled up here. Let me zoom out so we get all this crap out of here. Let's do this. All right. So TF Alerts shared some online clearances. So, if you've been in a Walmart, you've probably seen that they're finally clearancing out the Transformers 1 stuff. Makes sense. It's been a while for the Prime Changers. That first wave has been on the shelves for a good chunk of time now, since probably like late July, early August. Then we get stuff like Velocitron Blur. Hey, if your Walmart still has Velocitron Blur, power to you. But you can get it online. Well, now you can't. Now it's back up. This is the thing. I hate the third-party sellers, because the third-party sellers are on there. It defaults back to them. G2 Jazz for $12.49. So, yeah, you can still get that G2 Jazz, and you can get it for half price now. But what caught my eye was some of these newer figures. Like, we've got the 40th anniversary Blaster, and $22.48. That's nuts. That's more than half off. Then we get over here, leader class overcharge for the price of a deluxe. Well, now again, third-party sellers. See, this is what happens is people get these alerts, they buy them up, and then they're gone. The Galaxy Shuttle, which just got reissued for $27.49, and there, yeah, this was a figure that was going for like over $100 just a few months ago. Then it gets reissued. Now, for whatever reason, Walmart's clearancing it out. You get into the Origin Bumblebee. Again, this one just getting reissued. And these are pre-orders. These are pre-orders. So, yeah, hop on it. Then we get into some figures that really just came out. Now, Ape Link, I already checked that one. Unfortunately, he's sold out, and he's back up to the third-party scalper prices. Now, I shouldn't even say they're scalper because they're actually less than retail. But, again, the third-party people got it. Armada Wheeljack. Again, this one's back up to regular price, but for $12.48. The Mandalorian crossover. This is one I said, yeah, I'm not going to get, but for a leader, basically a leader size figure for $27.48, I did pick this one up because I've been collecting the crossovers, and I was just like, okay. After watching some of the reviews, I'm like, my love for Star Wars is pretty much gone, but I was like, okay, for the price of a deluxe, I'll pick him up. And I haven't picked up a new Transformer in a minute. Again, you get, they have the Voyager Gamer Edition Skywarp and Double Punch for more than half off. So again, give this page a follow, and it's just crazy to think that these figures are getting clearance already. Again, like some of these are already gone, but you can still get some of these deals. Highly recommend giving TF Alerts on Twitter a follow. And some, like I said, some of these are still live, but some of them are already gone. But, I still rest my case that it's these waves coming out quick. It just sends a bad signal to these retailers, and like, crap, we gotta get ready for the next one. So Hasbro really needs to give their own lines more breathing room so they don't go on clearance like this, because what happens is it's not hurting their bottom line because the retailers have already bought the figures. It's not hurting their bottom line initially, but down the road, I think that's why we started to see these aisles and sections shrink because the retailers are like, well, these really aren't selling. They're not bringing in any revenue, and the margins on toys is already very small. So, I think Hasbro has to do some rethinking. Well, let's get into to MegaCon, and let me start off with the day one. Make sure I have all this in order here, because there was a ton, and I mean a ton of stuff to come out of MegaCon. And let me make sure I got that in order. So let's go head over to TFW and let's look through what they got. And I have a lot of stuff. I'll have a lot of thoughts and feelings on all this stuff. Some good, some bad, some in between. So first up, they had their slide panel. We get a lot of official pictures, and these are all figures that have gone up for pre-order already. We've got the Commander class Hook and Long Haul 2-pack. So that's how they're selling these guys. We get a heavy redeco of the bulkhead mold into the Rescue Bots Heatwave, and I think this is really cool. This looks way better than it has any right looking. Even turning into a little chunky fire truck. There's some people that are hating on this, but I think this is good because, again, like you have some people that, like I think Rescue Bots is like 15 or 16 years old this year, probably 15 years old, because I remember it was like one of the things that came out on the Hub network. And so you have people that grew up with this show. I don't necessarily want to say it was their G1, but they're of age that these characters mean something to them. So to have a more mature representation for not only them or for the people that thought, hey, these are kind of neat designs, I'd love to see what they look like in a main line. Well, they've done it. And again, this is a heavy retool of the bulkhead mold. I think it looks really, I think this suits the mold better than bulkhead, if I'm being perfectly honest. And he's coming out in the Age of the Primes packaging, looking pretty good. And then we get the big one. We get a Robots in Disguise Skybite. A lot of people are like, oh, does this mean we're going to get a Transmetal 2 Cyber Shark? And I think Hasbro being Hasbro, if we don't get one as a Generation Selects, they'll work one in. Because again, they like getting repaints out of what they can. But this guy is looking really, really good. We'll get into some of the shark posability because in the past, we've had two versions of Skybite. We had the original from Robots in Disguise, which was, of course, a repaint of the Beast Wars Transmetal 2 figure. And then we got one for Thrilling 30, and both of them were kind of pre-posed. So we'll get into that in a little bit because Mark Mayer, aka Mark Clonus, he had a on his Instagram, had a gallery showing off everything this guy can do. And he's looking awesome. I know Lance is very excited about this guy, and there he is looking very sick in the Age of the Primes packaging. I really like this packaging. Then, of course, we get a good look at Hook and Long Haul. And I don't know how I'm feeling about this Devastator. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. It feels like for what it is, it's a little bit hollow, a little bit gappy. I still want a Devastator, but yeah, I really don't know. This wasn't quite the evolution over the Combiner Wars one I was hoping it was. Again, like with Hook, you get an extending hook, and of course with Long Haul, they kind of have all the combiner parts. It's kind of like a construction site trailer generator sort of thing, which is smart. There's the torso all combined up, and I think this looks fine. But again, time's going to tell, like when we get closer to release, how this is going to look. And again, that's a Studio Series figure. I'm sure he's going to look good with the Dinobots. And then let's get into the big stuff. So MegaCon Day 2, Hearts of Steel. Somebody on the TF Wiki said whoever actually made the canon Megatron a reality would get their firstborn. I think it's so cool. We're finally getting official Hearts of Steel. If you don't know what Hearts of Steel was, it was a steampunk themed comic. I think it came out under Dreamwave years ago. And these were really the first time I saw fully original, fully featured third-party figures that really stood out to me. MMC was doing these. And that was the first time I ever heard of Mastermind Creations. And of course, they did an Optimus. They did all the Seekers. They did Shockwave, and they kind of stopped there. I think they were called. I think either was Optimus called Night Morpher. But I kind of wanted them. I heard they had some fragility issues, which is funny to even mutter MMC and fragility in the same sentence these days. But I remember like Pia reviewing it was called Cyclops, and that was the Shockwave, and I was like, oh man, I really would. And he turned into like a big steamboat. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what they were called. What the subline was called. Yeah, they were the Night Morphers. Yeah, and I remember seeing that the price tag on that Shockwave back in the day, and they're like, holy crap, how could anybody afford this? But yeah, this Starscream is looking awesome. So Starscream is going to come in a 2-pack with Optimus. And I believe these are both Voyager scale. And then, of course, you have Bumblebee and Megatron in their own respective 2-packs. And all 4 of these are just looking amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love the fact that these at least appear to be original molds as well. So we're getting Bumblebee as the little train. We're getting Prime as the bigger train. And I just love how unique these designs are. I think the trains are a little stubby, but they're looking pretty clean. I mean, save for some of the waffles that you got randomly, like the back of the Starscream's legs. And Prime has some waffling in his feet that I'm not a big fan of. And there's some up-close pictures of Skybite. kind of flying through these because Mark put up some pretty good galleries on his Instagram. We're gonna cover them. Then we get the new Haslab reveal. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more depth before we look through these. And again, these are all early resin prototypes, but we're gonna talk through it a bit. And of course, they have the renders. And this is the new Haslab not Death Source, the new Haslab Victory Leo compared to the old Combiner Wars one. And the Combiner Wars one was not great. I mean, they repurposed Skylinks to be the torso. Just was not a good option. So this is a proper one. This isn't using any retooled figures. These are all original molds. There we get a better look at these guys here. Again, the waffling is not the worst, but again, you can see the inside of Prime's feet are hollow here. Right there. It's not the worst. It's not a deal breaker for me for these two. These are Pulse exclusives, and they are up for pre-order on Pulse. I did pre-order both of them, both sets. Because man, do they look really, really good. Actually, I don't know that the Megatron and B set is up for pre-order. Let me fact check myself in real time here. Yeah, the Megatron and Bumblebee set is not up for pre-order yet, so I'm going to correct myself there. Right now, it's just the Starscream and Prime 2-pack here. You can still get them. So I would probably act fast given that they're Pulse exclusives here. Then we get into the reveal of the new Haslab. Yeah, so they showed off the prototype, and there's mixed opinions on this. I am not as mad at how this looks as some commentators are. There are a lot of people that are upset about, some of the gappiness, some of the waffling that's going on here. I know Deluxe put up the whole Waffle House thing again. You can see on the side of the tank, you got some hollowness on the other side of the feet. And for a crowd-funded figure, you shouldn't have that. I'm not excusing any of that. I could excuse it if the asking price. So again, I talked to Rodimus Primal about this, and he said these figures are essentially a little bit. They're not quite Voyager. They're kind of like old Deluxe in terms of size, and there's 7 figures in total, provided Death Cobra hits that stretch goal. There's Evan Brooks. I believe he was the designer on this one. And, this thing I'm also hearing is not transformed 100% correctly. There he is next to Devastator. So, again, you can see he's going to be about the same height, roughly, as... Hey, speaking of Rodimus, there he is here. So this guy's going to be roughly in and about the same size as the other combiners are doing. So your Menasor and your Superion. So he's not going to be quite the biggest. But yeah, I just don't know that I see the value in this. So when I say I don't know that I see the value in this, it's that this set is $300 for 7 figures that are not quite Voyager. So the current asking price for a Deluxe right now is $25 US. So to be generous, let's put this in between at a Deluxe and a Voyager price point. Well, that brings you up to $210. And I understand this comes with stands and all, but those are stretch goals. And to me, let's head over to the Haslab page for this, right? And we'll go through like all the all the renders and all, so everybody we can see this. So again, you get Leo Zach, Gaia Hawk, Kill Bison, Drill Horn, Jurka, and Elbet. Right now, there's 4,663 backers. The target for getting this produced is 10,000. They've got 41 days to go. I think they'll hit this, and I'm hearing that Taobao is 3,000 is what my source told me, pre-orders for this or orders for this. So this probably will get fully funded. I know the Asian market's going to want this, but I can't back this in good faith. I couldn't back the Omega Prime. I'm getting an Omega Prime gifted to me, but I just couldn't back it. And so Rodimus is saying that he thinks Menasor is just a hair smaller than Liokaiser, and that with the engineering it would be like 7 Voyagers. So even if we did 7 Voyagers, we do 35, and we multiply that by 7, and that's assuming the stretch goal gets hit. Because again, if you're going to factor in a price for a stretch goal, is that really fair? Most other crowdfunding efforts, they don't do that. A stretch goal is a bonus. It's not a, hey, we're factoring in the whole price. Even if you were to say 7 Voyagers, it still comes out to $245. And again, you're still going to have to factor in tax and shipping, because I'm pretty sure even if you're Pulse Premium, they don't negate the shipping for you. And I really don't know. I know they're probably thinking like, well, Commander class figures 90, and then you have the deluxes and the Voyagers that or the Commander class figure, and then the 4 deluxes. But still, like, I don't know. I just really don't know, because again, Death Cobra, 13,000 backers. Then you get the electromagnetic nunchucks and then display bases. And I don't think it's really fair to put things in that. I don't think it's fair to look at the cumulative price as, well, this is the price, and count the stretch goals, because it might not hit it. I just really don't think that's a fair way of doing it. Now, yes, these do come with the Breastmasters as well, but I think we're just getting like, I don't know. I think we're setting our standards a bit low if we're going to let Hasbro kind of put some edict on this. And yeah, I can understand that too. Like, so Rodham is saying, I skipped Omega Prime. I don't want to skip this. I agree, though. It's an extra 55 added to it. I just have no doubt in my mind that, he says, I have no doubt in my mind that it will fund, though. Yeah, I think that there will be. I think the Asian market's going to save this, but I still think, would this be better to just have been a Takara Tomy Mall or an Asian exclusive release rather than going this crowdfunding route? Now, I will say in defense of this, this is something that makes more sense to crowdfund, because very few people in the West, save for the hardcore G1ers, really have any connection to this set. A lot of us that discovered in the 90s that, hey, G1 continued outside of the US, and these were the characters that we missed out on. We had some curiosity, and there were a lot of people that wanted to own. I remember when I first saw Deathsaurus, I was like, oh, we could have had that. We could have had that. Same with Star Saber. Liokaiser just is kind of one. I'm like, okay, well, I'm more of a masterpiece collector. I would rather, like Raiden, have a masterpiece skill Raiden. And Moon Studios gave me that. And I have a hard time wanting something that's priced this high when third parties are giving me far more substantial figures. Like, imagine if Moon Studios does a Liokaiser, and their figures really aren't that much more expensive, and you're getting much more substantial figures, and you're getting the quality. Not to say this is going to be a piece of crap, but I mean, you're getting something that's kind of designed with the legacy aesthetic, and I love legacy stuff, but I don't know that I would be willing to pay $300 for a legacy combiner. And when I say I don't know, I unfortunately I can't back this one myself. I do think that these sculpts look good, but it also begs the question to say, well, this wouldn't work in a Western market, but we do get so many deep cuts. We get a lot of deep cuts when it comes to legacy. They could have like drip fed these figures, because these are all kind of like good designs in their own merit. So I really don't know. I mean, I guess they're going this route as well because, and maybe the justification is they have to do it this way because they don't think that they could get repaints out of these, which is probably part of the reason why, even though, these are deep cuts, they have done some deep cuts. They're going the Haslab route. I don't know. But you see something like Kill Bison here. I don't like hollowness on a crowdfunded figure. I just don't think that's something that should be. I would rather, instead of doing the stand, use that extra plastic to do filler pieces, or just as a courtesy, fill the pieces in. Even looking at Death Cobra here, like those legs are very, very hollow. So, I don't know. I have, this is a very mixed thing between friends. I know I have several friends that want this because, we never got the character. This is a way to officially own the character. It is going to retain its value. Like if you get this and you're just not happy with it, I'm sure on the secondary market, there are going to be people that are, paying way more than the $300 for this, and the $300 by comparison will seem cheap on the secondary. But again, it's just something like out of principle that I don't really know that I want to support. Now, I know there were some people that were upset over seeing like the way that Jirugo is hanging out on the back, but it is a resin prototype. And Ronimus says, I think if they tried selling at retail, it would not have the chest plates. And that's a fair point. Like they would probably do the same like they're doing with the mini cons. Like to me, it was nuts that like we're getting mini cons, but only in like Pulse exclusive releases. So the only way to get Wheeljack's mini con was through the Shattered Glass Sideswipe pack. And the only way to get Jolt for Hotshot was through that SDCC the exclusive weapons pack that came with the Power Links Hotshot. So I don't know. Like I'm mixed on this. For me, I'm just gonna wait for third party. I know a lot of people are turning to TFC. I'm kind of hopeful that one of the Legends ones will get upscaled. I'm not one of the people that's wishing for this to fail. So I don't want for this to fail. I'm Switzerland on this. I'm completely neutral, right? I'm just kind of like, hey, it's there for people that want it. This is a fine example of I can see the justification for the crowdfund, but I still think that there could have been other ways to do it. And I could see the justification for the crowdfund, but I also have that criticism that I don't think that you should have hollow parts. I don't think things should look unfinished. I don't think you should have exposed mushroom pegs on something that is a crowdfund. You're being expected to pay for all of the stretch goals, even if you don't get them. I just don't think that that's a good standard, especially, and again, Hasbro's having their own financial issues, sure, but I don't think that that's a good standard for a billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar company doing a crowdfund, and that's just where I stand with it. So we'll see where this goes. We'll be doing what I like to call pulse checks on a weekly basis to see where this goes. The Titan saying that Liokaiser is 12 inches tall. I believe the Iron Factory is 10 inches. And I've heard from some friends that the Iron Factory one still scales very well with the Haslab Deathsaurus. So, to get, I do appreciate the fact they made Death Cobra the first stretch goal, not the last. The stand is the last one. I don't think a lot of people are going to be miffed if they don't get the stand. The nunchucks, I think, really should be standard. I think that the second stretch goal should have been an effects part. It wouldn't have cost them much to make an effects part. Especially since these are the electromagnetic nunchucks. I appreciate they're using a real chain on those, though. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, he's a 12-inch tall figure. And they are saying that they're 6 Voyager scale. And they're calling it chest force, not breast force. But yeah, if this does get funded, it'll be coming out fall of next year. And yeah, Princeton, yeah, I think these should be a different standard. I think that, people throw the term chugster piece around a lot. And I think what Haslabs should be is that chugster piece, right? They should be fully finished figures. They should be figures that don't look like something you could have gotten off of a brick and mortar shelf. I think Star Saber wasn't quite there, but Death Source definitely was. And Unicron really set a strong standard, even though in the 11th hour they changed the maul to be blue, which was one of the most frustrating things. I know some people say it's minor, but changing that maul to blue didn't ruin it, but it took away from the look of the figure, especially since that I keep mine in planet mode. I bought him to be a big planet, but still at the end of the day, it's a 19-pound huge orb that would never work in brick and mortar retail or online retail or through, as an import figure. So that justified its reason to exist. But yeah, these just, in my opinion, they can't have parity with regular retail releases. They have to be something substantial and something special. And they did so with Marvel Legends. The Galactus and the Sentinel that came out, those were not only were they huge, but there was a premium feeling to them, and it didn't feel like they were really upcharging you for things that were hypothetical components to it. It felt like, okay, if you're paying the asking price for these, you're getting what you pay for. Here, it feels like, well, we want you to pay assuming all the stretch goals will be met, and that's just really not how it should work. I think that these things should be, and again, I know it's a company, not a charity, but I think the goal here shouldn't be cost cutting and margins. It should be like, hey, let's give a product and make set it at a place where we can make money off of it. Not. I digress. I'm beating a dead horse here. I've rambled enough. Let's look through the rest of MegaCon here, because we get some good looks at Devastator here. And again, I think the combined Devastator is looking pretty good, though I don't think it's that much of a step up from the Combiner Wars Titan class one. I think really you're getting this to kind of scale better, and the individual Constructicons are looking decent, even if they have their own, waffles and gaps. I think if you have the Titan class Devastator still, and you want these for bot mode, they'll look great. Or if you just want a Devastator that will scale with your Studio Series 86 Dinobots a little bit better, it's the way to go. We get a look at the Studio Series Q, which I would like a little bit more paint on him, but I think he looks fine for what he is. He's a mass retail figure. We've seen Bumblebee and Megatron and Prime and Skybite. And then we get a better look at Superion. I know some people are not too thrilled with Superion. I think he looks fine. I think that Megatronus, the Fallen, looks great. Star Convoy, or I'm sorry, not Star Convoy, Star Prime, Star Optimus Prime. Rodimus saying that Devastator looked great in person. I'm still getting the Devastator. And again, with Menasor surprised me in person. What did you think of Star Optimus Prime in person? Because the more I see, the more I like it. I was always going to get him. But yeah, that kind of wraps up MegaCon, and then there's the boxes we're getting for the Hearts of Steel figures. I can't tell. I guess those are probably open box. These have probably been cooking for a while, but I like the fact that the box kind of closes into a kind of a steampunk looking book. It'd be cool if they bundled the comics in, like even if they did like a digital release. But I'm just glad that these exist, because again, those MMC figures, as much as I love MMC, they were dated. He's saying that much bigger than he thought. I know someone's going to make a Star Optimus. Someone's going to make a that's what she said joke in there. But yeah, I'm actually, funny enough, I kind of went Star Optimus to replace my Stellaris Promenon, the MMC one. I picked that figure up. I don't hate it, but it's got some jank to it, and it just, the sculpt wasn't all there. And yeah, we already looked through the bulk of these photos. And let's go over to Mark Lonis's photos here, because he took some really nice pictures of Skybite. And I just love the deco of this guy. I love how just this one part of the chest has this matte blue, and then he's got gold and the metallic purple where the spark crystal would be. And just all in all looking good. But what really impressed me was the posability of the shark mode. Like, we finally have a posable shark mode, which is just so cool. And there he is compared to that Thrilling 31. And I remember having like kind of a love-hate with the Thrilling 31. I love the fact that Skybite was getting some love, but it didn't pull it off as well as it could. I mean, I also appreciated the fact that they integrated the shark head into, like, you know, it wasn't a faux chest. But yeah, the faux chest is the way to go. And there's a comparison in shark mode, and that shark just looks infinitely better. Hey, Megatron, good to see you, my friend. There he is, posing him around. I think this is probably the Voyager I'm excited for the most. I love robots of this guys. I love anything Beast Wars or Beast related. So I'm really excited for this guy. Then not to be outdone, he also posted some pictures of a heat wave. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time because this is just the bulkhead mold, heavily retooled. It's a good mold. It's a fun transformation. I love how he took the effects parts to do this here, because that's a lot of fun. And yeah, this guy is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to him. He's going to look really good with Chase, and I hope they do more of these rescue bots, because again, like I was saying, there's people that grew up with these, and I think the timing is right. Oh, you got the Sunny Brave says it got the Fans Toy Slingshot in the middle of the day. That was just reissued, wasn't it? I know they're reissuing because a lot of people were late in the game getting Ethereon, which is the combine, you know, the combiner parts. And hey, Angry Canadian, good to see you in here, my friend. And I cannot wait. Angry Canadian scored the Evangelion McDonald's figures for me, and I'm not a review channel, but when I get those, I will actually be doing a review of them, because I love McChangeables. Let me stop sharing for a second. I love McChangeables, man. And when I saw those, I was like, oh, we're getting something like McChangeables. We're getting something like McChangeables again. And then I found out it was a lottery. And Angry Canadian hit me up, and he's like, hey, because he's in Japan. He's like, hey, I'll enter that lottery. I tend to have good luck. And I was like, all right, yeah, hey, I really appreciate it, man. Not thinking anything of it. He won that lottery. So I'm getting my Evangelion. We're working out how we're gonna get them in the States. But I cannot wait to get those, because I just love these fast food guys. And I still have a drawer over here full of bots. I love the bots. And Rodham is also saying that the aerial bots look great in person. I said my gripes about Superion with the Shinza. Did you say those to Evan? And Stunning Brave also says, only problem is I got to sell off the combiner parts to look amazing, because I'm going to be rocking the Zeta for combined. I did exactly the same, and I just have the box for the combined parts. I'm like, I wish they just sold them separately. That would have just made a lot more people like us happy, but, you know, is what it is. I hate saying is what it is. It's kind of reductive, but it really is what it is. And I'm dreading for when Fans Toy says, "Oh, hey, Bandit's coming out," because I'm gonna like, oh boy, same story again. But I need to complete my bot mode Synthwave. So Wonderfest also happened, and we get a look at some Flames Toys figures. Some of these are already out. Some of them are coming, but they are doing this. Kuro Karikuri Rodimus and the Lost Light colors. I love this deco for Rodimus, though. With the T-Spark one around the corner, I'm curious how many people are going to even really want the Flames Toys non-transforming figures when they're contributing to the T-Spark stuff. Granted, I mean, the paint on this looks phenomenal. I mean, if they do a T-Spark version in these colors, I will probably be tempted. I love my MMC one. I have the MMC one in both the regular Hot Rod colors and the, the Lost Light deco. And I've always really liked that Lost Light deco. So then we're also getting an IDW Cyclonus. Looking pretty good. And that Ultra Magnus, which also is interesting. Very interesting. My buddy Deluxe just did a review of this Starscream. I mean, it's Starscream, but speak of him and he shall appear. Thank you for having me. I love Transformers. Good to see you, Deluxe. And I mean, I'm glad to see Flames Toys still doing their thing, though. I'm really curious what kind of needle's going to get shifted with them moving into with the T-Spark stuff. Is it really going to change how they do these? I don't know. And I'm also curious, like, how these things are gonna, how the T-Spark ones are gonna hold up. Are they gonna have paint issues? Are they going to be fragile? Because that was my main gripe with the early Flames Toys figures. I had the Drift, and it was beautiful, but it just was not a fun figure to mess with. So I'm curious how the T-Spark stuff's gonna compare. But again, this is a fantastic looking figure all around. And also, they showed off the Nucleon Quest Convoy. Now, I just got my figure on New Year's Eve of the Ginrai. But Nucleon Quest Convoy, I think this is actually supposed to be Convoy, but with they weren't Power Masters in Japan, but I will get this. I do like the deco. I know TM Reviews, he posted some pictures of the bot mode over on his Facebook. So I'm going to head over there real quick and take a look. I don't know where he sourced these pictures from, but now I'm struggling to find them. But yeah, there are additional pictures of this guy in bot mode. Here we go. Let's open this up in a new tab here. Let's get over. Let me make sure I am sharing out. But yeah, again, just a straight up redeco, repaint. Looks great in these colors. You're getting I don't know what they called him. I don't know too much about the Nucleon Quest repaint other than it was just a black version of the Ginrai Power Master Prime mold. It was just it's an interesting deco. I do have the Fans Hobby one. I'll probably sell the Fans Hobby Power Baser to get this, but looks good. I'm a Prime collector and a Masterpiece completionist, so I am on the hook for this guy. And Rotman is saying, always a black repainted Optimus for the regular colors. I agree, though. I do have a whole shelf of nothing but black repaints of Optimus Prime. I have a problem, just as some of us collect, clear figures. Some people collect Optimuses. Some people collect Megatrons. I kind of collect Optimus, Megatron, and then hold the Nemesis and black repaints of the guy. Oh, you know what I did not cover? I'll go back to TM Reviews page because I lost track of that. They did the portal reveals in the MegaCon release. And again, shout out to TM Reviews for keeping all the news on lock. Just to show what some of the stuff that Hasbro's got in the pipeline. They are doing a Preceptor multi-pack for Studio Series 86. So I don't like that they're doing it this way. They already did a Studio Series Preceptor. but we're getting him with Rat Bat and Ramhorn. Then we are getting the kind of the auto troop, or the these guys, the auto troopers. Oh, ground soldier and seeker elites from Transformers Devastation. I'm guessing this will probably be a repaint of. I guess we'll probably just be getting yet another Earthrise Seeker repaint, as well as I guess a Runabout Runamuck repaint. Then this one's really interesting. Really, really interesting. We're getting Carnivac and Iron Fist. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm curious if these are going to be if they're going to be the like a comic deco like we've been getting. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And I agree with Rano. Yeah, the cassette should just come out in 2-packs. I know they're moving away from doing the whole core class thing. They didn't find the core class to be profitable, but I would be fine just doing it with another character. Like, what they should do is just take the core class Spike from Studio Series 86 and just call it Daniel, and then throw in the 2 cassettes and sell it as a deluxe. And yeah, so Carnivac's going to be a Weirdwolf retool. So, Then, of course, we saw this coming a mile away. We're getting a Toon version of Sandstorm, and we're also getting Slugslinger. So, that'll be interesting to see. This one I did not see happening, and that's Cybertron Sideways. And again, my good buddy Lance is going to be very happy about this, though. I'd like to see a better take on Armada Sideways first, but I'm still glad that Cybertron is getting more love in the game. Then moving over, we get this Earthspark battle trail. I don't know why they didn't just release this early on in Earthspark, but again, this is such a repurposed version of that, what they call their warrior class or deluxe class. Not for me. I do appreciate that they put a firing mechanism in here, but this just looks absolutely cheap. I got to give a shout out to a channel, Paper Melon. He had a really good point. He said that when people are dismissing the stuff as, well, it's kids' toys. The toys that we grew up with were not cheaply made. They were built to last. They were substantial. In fact, many of the toys we played with in the 80s that are 40 years old and over still hold up today. And I feel like if you want to combat and challenge a dwindling children's toy market, you have to make stuff that parents have some confidence in buying. Earthspark, I don't really think is popular with kids, and I'm surprised that they're even doing anything else with this. With Cyberworld on the horizon, I think Cyberworld may stand a better chance being on YouTube. Kids are on YouTube, whether you agree with that or disagree. But I think that might have a better chance at market penetration. There's probably some people that wanted Prime with a trailer, but this is going to be one that I will be passing on. Hey, Snapple Ryan, what's going on, man? Good to see you in here. And lastly, since I didn't have a show last week, I didn't get to cover this. We're already getting a repaint of the Silver Rathalos Prime from that Monster Hunter crossover. I think the red one looks better, but of course, they love to do their repaints. And this one's coming out exclusively in the Japanese market. I think they should release it over here. Monster Hunter is a really big franchise. Monster Hunter Wilds people are going nuts over it. It just had the beta playtest, though. If you're on PlayStation, you might have had some issues because there's that big PlayStation outage over the weekend. But we are getting the silver version as well. I think it could have used a little bit more details picked out in the bot mode, but I don't think it looks bad. I think the beast mode definitely looks pretty cool for what it is. I love the purple sword as well, but I think the red version is going to be the way to go. And again, this is a really, really extensive retool of the Legacy or Rise of the Beast Air Razor, depending on which one you're looking at. Don't have too much for third party, but we'll wrap up on third party for this evening with Fans Hobby. So I believe I believe I saw this guy's already in stock over on Agabus.com. But funny enough, Fans Hobby is saying it's available to pre-order as of today. And again, I'll check myself on that. But yeah, we get a look at the final version of their Wing Saber, and he's looking pretty awesome. I plan on picking this guy up in the near future. I still haven't picked up their Tidal Wave, but I'd like to get Tidal Wave and get this guy in the near future. And there he is, the final version looking combined. The final version looking great combined up. My only caveat for getting this guy is the fact that we just got out of Chinese New Year, and I want to make sure there are no QC issues. I love Fans Hobby to death. I really do. But my experience is figures coming out of CNY tend to have issues, especially with red plastic. So I want to make sure that everything is solid on this guy before I commit to him. Also had some issues with their Jetfire, their Armada Jetfire, so I held off. But there's the alternate combined up mode. I prefer, this version, but this version's not looking too bad. And you also do get the new head that they included with the Obsidian Commander from TFCon, and I think that it's a slight difference, but I think it's good enough of a difference that it's. And again, it's a nice free bonus. So if you want to improve the look, and again, I think they've really already knocked it out of the park with this guy. But if you happen to want to improve the look, well, you can do so. And yeah, I am correct. Over on Agabus.com, they already have this guy in stock. So not just up for pre-order, he's available to buy over from Agabus. So it is my birthday. It is my birthday, but I'm waiting for Dojo to tell me that that they've got their Infinity Drift in. That's gonna be my birthday gift to myself. So this guy will come later down the line, but I am very much looking forward to him. And that about wraps it up for all the stuff to cover this evening. So gonna be like I said, fun tomorrow. I'm off. It'll be my birthday, so I'll be just relaxing and hopefully not snowed in. But thanks to everybody who joined in, who popped into that live chat tonight. It's always good getting to hang out with you fine people, and wouldn't be able to do it without all of you tuning in each and every week. If you're watching me on the replay squad, let me know, what were you most excited about from all the MegaCon reveals? How do you feel about the new Haslab? Are you backing it? Are you skipping it? Are you kind of mixed on it? Let me know. I want to know. And while we're at it, hit that like button if you think if I deserved it, because it helps me out in the algorithm. If you like what I'm doing over here, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing that notification bell. Lance and I are still planning out the Cybertron ranking, the tier list. I think we're going to be doing that probably on the 22nd. So ring that notification bell, because we'll probably be planning that. We got to make sure everything's set up in Tier Maker, and we're good to go. The Energon one was a lot of fun. The Cybertron one is definitely going to be way more chaotic, because Cybertron is so full of absolute bangers for figures that we're going to have a hard time trying to be objective, because Lance is already whole thing S tier except for Backstop. And I'm like, Backstop does go into the void, but not every figure in that line's an S tier. So that's going to be a really fun debate. I'm looking forward to that. I've got some other stuff planned out, some discussion videos. I've got some things that I'm working on, some heavily edited stuff, and I will one day get this extrospective rolling. I just have not been happy with what I've put out, but I will get something up, because I'm running out of time. We're the 40-year window on MPO1. We're almost out of it. So I'm gonna work on finishing that. So instead of saying I'm committing to a date, I'm gonna put it out when I'm happy with it. And thank you for all the happy birthday wishes in the chat. I really appreciate it. And that's gonna do it for tonight's episode. I will see you all same time, same place next Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here for 0 Hour. And I hope everybody has a great week ahead. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.
Bye.